Good evening, everyone. Yeah, Otanai Kolwatobi, then I'm Sylvercodez on Zuri, so I'm Zuri Frontend mentor, and welcome to today's class. I hope you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me, please drop a comment in the comment section below. Also, today is going to be a very, very good day as in today's class, we'll be rounding up JavaScript. And as we're rounding up JavaScript, which simply means this will be the last. This should not probably it might not be the last, but this should actually be the last office hour I'll be having with you guys. So if you guys can hear me, please, I would love you to drop a comment in the comment section below. Just signify by saying I or something. Oh, great, you guys can hear me. Appreciate. So in our previous class, that's on Sunday, we spoke about what is JavaScript. We discussed why you need to learn JavaScript. We further discussed the framework using JavaScript that uses JavaScript. We also discussed about the applications of JavaScript. Um, we also said we also oh no. We also said Java. We talk about JavaScript syntax. We also talked about Java. That's this that JavaScript syntax. We talked about how JavaScript is being used on HTML. We spoke about comments. So let me just fast forward to this class. I know in our previous class we stopped at the loop. That's a loop. The loop control. Just where we stopped. So in our today's class we have an hour. So I would like us to just go through what we are supposed to learn today. We'll learn about functions, then also objects and arrays. Those are the three things we'll be learning about JavaScript because those are the last topic. My other colleague has spoken about events and also has spoken about almost a whole lot. So this is almost like a recap and also extending the knowledge that people have on already on JavaScript. So what is function? I know you spoke about function also, but I want to try to break down function in a simple language that you can understand, even though I know you did a great work in talking about JavaScript as a whole. So first, a function is a collection of reusable code that can be called from anywhere in your program. This eliminates the need to write the same code over and over again. It aids programmer in the creation of modular code. A programmer can use function to divide a large program into a number of small and manageable functions. Yes, you could see that if you have a code, for example, you want to write a function of I once did is a challenge while I was learning. The challenge was actually to write a code that makes somebody like say go to the market, buy pepper, and come back. So if I'm to write that code and I need to send that person to the market like 5 times, it will be very, very stressful for me to start writing that function. The first time, go to the market and come back. Go to the market and come back. JavaScript functions enable us to be able to write the the like function once and call it 5 times. So you just call that tag 5 times and say go to the market and come back. So you understand already. So the function just writes it again over and over again instead of me having to write it 5 times. And you know how that can actually ache your hand, and at some point you might even make a mistake. So continuation, JavaScript, like any other advanced programming language, supports all features required to write modular code using functions. During these slides, you would have seen functions like alert and write. In our previous class, I told you about alert and write. And also, you could remember this slide, I've sent out this slide on Slack. For those of you that need this slide, is on Slack. And I made this slide available in the sense that you could watch the video and also use the slide. So if you need my code, you cannot actually watch the video. I've not gotten a go ahead to publish the code of what I have then. So we're using these functions repeatedly, but they had only be written once in core JavaScript. Continuation. JavaScript also allows us to create our own function. So we have been saying function. What is this function itself? What is function? I've only told the people here what function can do, how function works, but what is function? So I wrote in my slide here that we must define a function before we can use it. The function keyword followed by function action, a list of parameters which may be empty, and some statement block surrounding the curly braces is the most way to define a function. So let me show you in a code way. As usual, I'll write my code so that we don't have to spend a whole on it. So this is it. To write function is just very easy. This is how to write it. So you have the you want to add inside, then the statement. So it's as easy as saying you have function. What do you want the function to do? You want to say hello in it. Then what do you want it to do after then you want it to actually there alert hello there. So continuation, let me just write this in our normal this thing. But before I go into that, let me just tell you one thing about JavaScript. I was speaking about calling a function. Yes, to call a function later in JavaScript, simply write the function's name and show in the code. So this is it here. This first way of JavaScript. So you have this. So let me run this. Open live server. So you could see what I did here is first I define my function and I say what I want the function to do. I say, okay, before this, I would explain everything about this here. But what I want my function to do is simple, which is say hello, is accepting some parameter for you in the language, in the layman English. Then I'm saying now, write my name, the age of my distance is this. So that's what I want you to do. Then I say on click, it should not call that function. You would have heard about this on click from my colleague, and also he spoke about that event when he was talking about events. You would have heard a lot about on click. So continuation. Okay, I've opened this already. So this is it. So if I click on say hello, it's now telling me Sylvercodez is 11. Remember, I passed is 12 years old. Well, I might actually be 12 years old. He actually knows. So what am I passing here? I'm passing parameters. Which parameter is it taking? It's taking two parameters, which is name and age. JavaScript can take one or more parameters, but it's always very good when you know that you want to pass in two things. Whenever you need two attributes from a user, it's always very good to wrap them in a function parameter, which is like two. So it now says name, which is whatever the person call, then age. So now, in my say hello, I only called the name, which is identified as string. So this is targeting the parameter here. Then the age, which is 12, is targeting the other parameter, second parameter here. So that's why I could say hello when you click on click, say hello, which is on click, call this function. Now print out document.write, print out the answers in this function, which is now what we have. Sylvercodez is 12 years old. So that is that. So I also said something about calling a function. To call a function, I have it here, where I say to call a function later in the script, simply write the function name as shown in the code below. So this is the code below that I'm talking about. I have it here, which is the same thing. Say hello, document.write without the parameter. That's just how to call a function. To call a function, you just call it here on whatever you want to use it for. You also know that I told you how you can actually place a JavaScript. This can actually be in an external JavaScript. So if I remove this and put it in an external JavaScript, then call it here. If I do this, say hello, it will still give me this return. It will still return this for me. So let's try it. I'm only trying to draw us back, but not draw us back. I'm drawing us back I'm drawing us back in a way where is useful. So I can call script src and call it let me say main.js. So I'll save this. Remember, I'm calling main.js, so I need to create that main.js file. So I'll have main.js. So I'll just paste it here, the function. I'll paste it here. Remember, this is the function I created. So now, if I go back to my browser, and I remember it's no more here again. So I'm now saying say hello on click. So this on click element will go back to this main.js and print out hello. So if I should run this and see I there, you see, you've seen this one is I there, and you saw the way I called it out. So I only took you back for those that missed it of different ways you can call a JavaScript, either calling it externally or calling it internally, which is good and great. So continuation of what we had. Continuation of what we had. The parameters I said I would explain to you, I'll tell you about. I'll tell you about parameters. So we can say we have only seen functions with no parameters so far, even though I know I've showed you people already. In my slide there, it's only taking you that you've not seen it. However, there are options to pass different parameters when calling a function. These passed parameters can be captured inside the function and manipulated in any way. Multiple parameters separated by commas can be passed to a function. Like I said, you can pass one or more parameters in a function, and the only way you can pass parameter to a function is by adding it to the bracket. So the way I have this say hello, I can actually just put I to, let's say, Toby. So I'm passing just this Toby. Then I can remove it from here. Instead of I there, I'll just say plus, like concatenation. I Toby. I have this. So if I save this, I need to go back to my HTML. No, sorry, I name. This one should be name rather. Name. Name. So if I go to my call.html, I can now say, I can now call, let's say, Toby. Yeah. I'm coming. Just the way you had it in this part. Let me show you. Just the way you had it here. Say hello, blah blah blah. So it's also the same way I'm passing something here. Where is it? Call.html. So I have this as to be. So if I go and run my code now, you see. If I run this my code that I wrote and I click on, then I'll save something. Say hello. This should be in to. So let me run this. I hope you guys can hear me. If you can hear me, please drop a comment. See, hello. Remember, I just passed the parameter into it. So if I click on say hello, just say hello Toby, which is what I just did was just pass the parameter here. Then I have declared it here by saying name, and this is what the output is supposed to be named. So it's an example. For example, if you're having a form, this is one other way you can actually pass in a form and say, okay, wherever the user have anything there, whenever he has inputted the name, want to say if user is logged in. So if you can just add something like, you have your if else statement. So if, let's say, user equals true, you could say you cannot call this function. Do you get? So I'm only telling you in real life scenario how to use it. So if user is logged in, you can now say you should now run this function and say hello this. There are several ways of writing these functions, and I know that in this my code I never spoke about functions. Arrow function is one easy way to write functions that makes your functions look very beautiful and very great. But let me just show you some things. So this is return statement, but let me show you that arrow function. Arrow function is very simple and it makes your code looks very clean. So you can have this in your arrow functions. You have just something like, let's say you have the name, if you guys can hear me, I would love you to drop a comment in the comment section below. Okay, great. You guys can hear me. You guys can hear me. So the arrow function is almost very similar to something like this. So you have the equals to, you have this. So you have this, then you have this open bracket. I will need to just remove this out. Let me remove this. Oh, I'm missing something out. Oh, how did I write this arrow function? Oh, I think I missed something out. Sorry. Actually be embarrassing sometimes. So since it's actually embarrassing, Google will not tell me the lie. I think I just missed out something in it. I know it's the bracket part of it. So an arrow function is written, yeah, this. Oh, funny enough, what I just missed out. What I just missed out is almost just like a bracket. Just let me call out what I had. So it's just me adding, what is it called? I know it's a bracket. Let me remove this. Oh, it's still giving me name is repeated. Something like these are arrow functions. You can see it's very small. It's very small. Very small. So with this, it still work the same way I want it to work. Like, chemical name because exactly statement. Yeah, exactly. Kemisola. Yeah. I'm really functions very well because I prefer it and it's actually shorter, but it's very good as a beginner to write it in full, the normal way. So as a beginner, what is expected of you to start with is this. But if you understand how the arrow function works well and return A plus comma B, comma what's it called B. I call this by return A plus B. Then I go to my .html. Then audio is breaking. Can you guys hear me? Please don't let audio break. If you guys can hear me, please comment in the comment section below. Please, audio should not break. What is low 1,4? Probably does not understand. Okay, sorry. Audio is breaking. Why is this like this? Hello? Please, is it still breaking? And I have a full network over here. Please, is it better now? I'd like to know if it's better, please. Please, you're a better now. Can you guys hear me now? Oh, I'm glad it's better now. So one knife server. So hello. Oh, wait. I don't have anything to print out then. So let me do this. I'm not printing out anything in my plus this thing. So let me see if I can console log. Let me see if I can console log. Where's the main? CLG console dot log say hello. So let's see this. X v. Remember, this is a function. So let me see how this will run. Move my live server. Do this. Say a better example here that I believe should actually show, which the function is still the same. I'm only looking for I can print this. Trying to it in a clearer way, a simpler way. So say we have this. I gave it a name first and last, the full. So I say full name actually. So it's not just full name. So I'm trying to say, which is full name, which is like variable full name, which is first plus last. Remember, I'm having two variables here. Then I'm not saying return the addition of this. So I can equally remove this one and say it should return this. This is the same thing as this. Control V. This same thing as this. And remove everything here. This same thing as this. Very short. So now that I have this, I'm calling second variable, which is because I need to call this full name. So I attach full name as Toby and Femi, which is like Toby plus Femi. Then I just call this one empty. You also know that because I need this document.write, that's why I did that. This document.write, you should write out the result. You also know that I may ignore that one. I just put my document.write here. Just call my what is it called, other functions and document.write. So because I don't want to do that, so now if I should run this, I'm only telling you about the return statement. What I just is return this thing. It's always very, very good to use return statement whenever you need to return something out to JavaScript. So I say call function, you see Toby Femi. So what it just did was easy. It returned name plus last name, which is what that's just function of return statement. If I should remove this, it will not really make a whole lot of sense. Not this. So call function undefined because it was missing that result. that return statement. So if you need to return something out or something from another what is it called, you need to use this return statement. So great. And I think since the reason why I went through this class, because I know that a lot of you must have been saying this, what is it called, function, you want to know how function works, and probably you may need to write some functions in this thing. You need to write some functions in the future. So I told you what this actually means from the starting, and I told you these are parameters. This is just the function name, the parameter, what is it called, that you can add to the function, then the statement part, and the statement part you can also have the return, and you can have any other thing you also wish to have. You can also add an if else statement if something is also this thing, which will work that exactly that same way. So it's always very good you know all these basics and you know how to use them. So with this, you could add the JavaScript. What is it called? You could say, okay, yes, I know JavaScript. Why? Because you've known the syntax of JavaScript. You could go into learning advanced JavaScript. But one other property I think people, even though I know they've spoken about it a little, which is the object. I know my colleague spoke about object as a data type. We will not really go deep into what object actually means. So in this class, I know this part is always very boring. Object part is very, very boring. But I can tell you that the object part is one of the key things you need in JavaScript. You need to know object and arrays because you are passing in data from the backend using object and arrays. So you need to know objects to a very large extent. And you need to know how to use arrays in a large extent. You need to be able to differentiate them. Object is curly braces, while array is square brackets. Curly bracket rather, curly bracket, and while array is square bracket. And fine. Going forward, objects. JavaScript is a language for object-oriented programming, OOPL, which is famous, and you must have heard about OOPL languages. So, an object-oriented program language is one that provides 4 fundamental capacities to developers. You must have heard. Okay. You must have heard about oriented program, but now what makes a language an object program oriented language is one, it must be encapsulate. So what does it mean? It means the ability to group together relevant information, whether data or methods, in an object. So you're actually adding different data. That's why you see that when you're trying to add in maybe name or something, you could add it multiple times. Setting, you could add data and not like, okay, you want to count number of people in a class with their names. There are different information, but now there are same informations that are looping over. So that's what an object does. Then aggregation. Why JavaScript is this thing is that it could actually aggregate, which simply means the ability to store another object inside another. You could see something in JavaScript, something like this. I'm very sure those that are familiar with JavaScript, you would have seen something like this in JavaScript. Let me just use this part. Object is always in curly braces. So you something like name dash, then you have something like Ade, then you have comma, then you have something like this also. Class, for example, then you have something like this again. On object and object, you now have what is it called? Something similar like this. You now have something like maybe junior school, something like this. An object and an object. You would have seen something like this while using this thing. So that's what it actually means. They could have object another object. So continuation made JavaScript and OOPL. So is that this is the class ability to rely on another class or set of classes for some of its attributes and functions. You will see that how we'll be able to use that in our course of learning. Then also, JavaScript is also an OOPL because of its let me bite my tongue. Polymorphisms, or is it called attributes? That is the ability for it to write a single function or method that can be used in a variety of ways. So you could actually have multiple function in what's it called. Oh, you are newbie in JS. Yes, that's why I'm trying to go over all these things little by little. Like I'm trying to break it down in a way that you would know. See, let me tell you one thing people fail to do about learning programming languages. Don't just learn the practical aspects. Know the from theoretical aspect as much as you know the practical aspect. Do you get? So that's why all these things are not things that you probably will need, but you might have it as maybe a question or something, or somebody just ask you, why is JavaScript called an OOPL? So it's called is an OOPL because it has the ability to provide these four, what is it called, abilities that you need, that is important. It has these four abilities. You might just even just know the name and not know the full meaning of what it is. So in that way, the person hearing you will know that, okay, yeah, this person understands what he's doing. So good and fine. So now going forward, so we have object properties. Any of the three primitive data types, as you know, the data types that we have now, you have the numbers, you have the strings, then you have the boolean, as well as any abstract data types, such as another object. You know that object is also a data type, can be used as object property. Object properties are often variables used internally in the object method, but they can also be globally exposed variables used across the website. Adding a property to an object is done just a simple way. You have the property name, this is the property value, then you have the object name dot, what is it called, object property. You have been using it, you have gotten a little intro. Okay, the inheritance. What I said about the inheritance is that it's a class ability to rely on another class ability for some of its attributes and functions. You could get a class ability that is like, you could have a uh, um, um, you could have a JavaScript object lined up. So you could be able to use one of the object property there, call it on another. You are like looping at trying to take something from somewhere and adding it to another object. So that's just it. You could use a function in JavaScript, a JavaScript object, and use it in another object. So you are storing it in different places, but abstracting it from one place. VS Code copy of JavaScript. What do you mean by the VS Code copy of JavaScript? Do you mean my own code? Like this one, the one I've been using? Let me just know that about that, Juliet, please. Okay, so you have been always be using these JavaScript object properties, but the thing is that we probably don't know that that's what I'll be using. We are using something like document.write, document.this, document.that. We've been using a lot of document or something, but you don't know that JavaScript object you have been using. We also use JavaScript on document.write to actually do something now. But what is it doing? It's actually looping out from something, taking out from something. So, for example, the following code gets the document name using the name property of the document this thing. So, going further, you also have object method. Yes, so we've also been using this object methods. We've been using document.write. Is an object method. Methods are the functions that allow an object to perform something or allow something to be done to it. A function is an independent collection of expressions, but a method is attached, that's the difference, to an object and can be referenced by using the this, circle that this keyword. I should have highlighted that this as capital letter or something. You would have seen something like they'll be putting something like this dot something. That's the way you can actually get an object. You are trying to get something from an object, but good enough when you get to React and when you use things in functional components, you may not need to use those this dots, maybe like state or something. But while this JavaScript, because JavaScript majorly was a class component stuff, so that's why you could see a lot of this dot something, this dot. Okay, Juliet, I would look for a way to get that to you guys. I would ensure that I get a permission for that. So methods can be used for everything from showing the content of an object to executing complicated mathematical operation or a set of local characteristics and parameters. Yes, I know that the object everybody is having in is an object with curly brace, just storing up data. But all these things you are doing, document dot write something, is just a way. See, the following is an example of to show how to use write method of the document object to write any content on the document. Document is used vast, but I know when they ask you what is an object, you would only say an object is the way to actually list items and maybe call an item and give it a value using the curly braces. But object is bigger than that. Object is bigger than that. Oh, you've missed a lot of classes. Sadly enough, project phase period will be taken from next week. So they will be able to filter. But if you've not gotten out to 80%, Chibuzo, apologies. You may not be able to get into project phase. Defined object. You could actually define object yourself. Showing you the defined object, or what is it called? The property like document dot write, but you can also define your own object yourself by just calling the object property and whatever. But continuation, I'll start from the very basics before we create our new object first. So we have the new operator. You'll be seeing something like new date, trying to get a date. That is like getting a date. If you want to get a date property, you see, let me just show you something, an example of this new before I move into, before I show you the new. So you also have the contents of what I want to talk about new. New in JS, new in JavaScript. Let me see. Is it in W3 schools? I don't know why I named it new. Schools. The W3 school is actually very, very good. I will not lie to you. As a beginner, okay, it's not. My network is starting again. I just hope my network is not starting. I'm not seeing it here. Object properties, object method. We've spoken about object properties, we've spoken about object method. We are going to these constructors. I'm trying to get that new stuff. But don't worry, I know I would get it. You can also look for it about that new, but I would explain it here. Have you seen this I spoke about? What is this? In JavaScript, this keyword refers to an object. I told you about this. Yes. So I told you about this. I said I should have capitaled it, but you're also getting it here. I told you about the method. Okay. So let's just continue with ours. So the new operator, okay, it's actually called an operator. The new operator is used to create an instance of an object. The constructor method is used to build an object after the new operator. The constructor method is all this. The constructor method is following example: object bracket, you understand, array brackets, and maybe dates. And major one that are always what is it called? Important. Like people do use maybe for date is a new date, trying to get a new date or something. So in my own code, I have something about that this thing here, just like an example of it. So I think I should have it. And where did I even save it? No. Sorry. Okay, I have it here. So you could see the object one, new object, just saving an empty object. You could see it's telling me it's accepting value and any object constructor. You could see what it highlighted. This is actually just a keyword from what is it called? It's from JavaScript itself. Object constructor. Then this is actually an array constructor. You could see the way it's actually second into box. It's telling me it's in box something. While this one is actually telling me is not. You can see that it's different. It's different. This one is object. This one is array. This one is what is it called? Date. To actually get a date or like the day today or something. So these are the date this thing. But now what I'm really trying to tell you about is about this new, which is like saying get the new date. If I should remove this, I'm not sure if I should put this new date. Let me see. Let me say I can actually use it in somewhere. So in this function, let me say I have, let me look for, okay, let me use this one and put Control V, then I say CLG, then I call in date. You see what would happen? Even there's other properties. You can get the hours, you can get full year. I actually just have a suggestion in my thing. This is not a copilot though, but this one just suggestion that tells me everything I can do. So let me tell you, from this date, it's telling me that I can get the full year, I can get the data amount. But let me just run this. Let me run this in my live server. Then let me open my console log. So it told me today's date. I hope you guys can hear me. If you guys can hear me, please drop a comment in the comment section below. Why is it giving me none? It's telling me none. It should have been. Where is it? Oh, sorry. This thing can actually be frustrating at times. Let me go and copy. Let me copy this first. Let me see. Please, is this train? Ah, you guys can see my screen. What happened? Sorry, I think my screen stopped sharing. Great. It's back. Can you guys see my screen now? I guess you guys can see it now. Can you hear me clearly? Wow. That's very serious. So let me go and run this hello function. So in this call.html, I have say button, say hello. Let me remove this. Let me remove this and let me run. So let me inspect. Oh, I have like 8 more minutes. Wow. I think my slide should just help. Console log, say hello. So you can see it brought out today's date. Not today's date, brought out this date. This date out. So as you can see, let me remove this. That's like getting new date. If I should remove this, so I have this. So you could see that new would actually is to just bring print out something new. So let me click on say hello. So you could see it gave me today's date. Today is November 10, Thursday. So these are one of the things you could do with JavaScript today's date. As you can see, the new property, but like adding new things or something. So going further, I'll show you about that new. I have less than 3 minutes, 7 minutes. So let me just tell you about the rest part of this. My slide, so you could see about the array. The array is similar, very similar to what I just showed about this new. Oh, this is time to load. This is taking time to load. Okay, great. So you have this new. Then you let me go back to the next one. I've spoken about this new with you guys. So the next property is what you have the object constructor. A constructor is a function that helps to create an initialized object. To build the object, JavaScript provides provides a unique constructor function named object. Object constructor returns a value assigned to the variable. Reference to a new object is stored in the variable. The object properties are not variables and are not specified in with the var keyword. Let me show you what everything here means, because if I'm trying to explain it with code instead of me explaining with the mouth and going back to the code. So I have something I wrote here as constructor.html. So what did you do here? Remember, I said variable car, then I stored it in a new object. I'm storing this car in object. So it simply means I'm saying I'm assigning this car and assigning it to an object. What is it called? The what is it called? Brackets, curly braces. This same thing as doing this curly braces, doing empty curly braces. But I don't want to do that. So I just said this. So I'm creating an object. So and I'm saying now, car name is Benz. Then I'm not saying the author, car.author, silver code. So I'm console logging car. So let me comment this out. This is actually an array. So if I should run this code, I have variable name, creating an object. You will see what it will bring out to me. To tell me car name is Benz, car author is silver code. That's what you could get. But in my you see that I told you that it's always storing an object is actually in curly braces part. So you would see it here as object. It's told this is an object. Then what did I have? I have author and Benz. What is saved? So it's saving it as an object and it's the author and what is it called? That's what I saved there. So I could use the property I use in saving the name, the what is it called? The object and the child, which is like the name. So car.name, car.object. I the object and I'm creating an author inside the object and I'm assigning it and giving them a name. And well, that's what you could see here, author and name. But I can write this thing in a more simpler way. In a more simpler way than this. And that's what I have here. I could call a function. Then this is only telling me that this is actually an object. This is your name. This dot author is only telling me this is an object. If I console this CLG, okay, I can't console from here. But if I have this, it will actually, unless I want to put in a variable first. So I can actually say all this here. This is telling me this is an object. You can remember I called the function here, which has already told me that this is object. Then I'm not giving it a value of the author. So in this way, this is another method of me writing that I wrote here that looks like this. But I think I have 7 more minutes and I don't want to rush up this class. And I think that is all. I have this great objects almost a end. So you have that, you can see same. Then the next part that we have is the previous example that I showed you how to assign properties, how you could assign a variable class dot something. We must complete object definition. How do we attach method to what's it called to define and so it's where's it? Sorry. Okay, defining. Sorry. This is it. This is it. You can actually define an what is it called? An object. Define it. Probably you are expecting a variable from you. Now, what we did, we are doing our own putting. But what about if you are expecting a value, like somebody to actually do it, a value from somebody? So you could have it like this. See, first I define my value, what I will expect from a user. I want the user to actually tell me the price of something. So I've actually said it. This and I've said amount, and I told you this is a better way of writing code and you don't have to start repeating things. So I'm saying this dot price, which is telling me that this is an object. So the price will be now here. So I'm trying to join something. I'm assigning a property. I want to assign this property that I have here, this method to this one. So I can now say after defining everything, remember I only got the title and author. This is coming from a separate place, so you can see I've not add any parameter for what is it called here. So I said this dot title, this dot author, then I have this dot price, which is add price, which is coming from here. If I'm even doing that now and I have the variable, I'm trying to get the variable to actually display whatever I have. So I have variable book, then I say book, my book dot, I've given all these ones the other values, but because this one I cannot add it here. You know, if I'm adding parameter, that is I'll have to add maybe comma price and put it here, but no, I want to do it here. So I have this assigning a method to a property. Make it this way instead of me having to put comma price, but because I know there are different functions, this is the kind of way you can add and write another function somewhere and just call it out for the user to put. So for example, you want to say you have the user's name already and you have the user email, then now you want to get the user's user, then created the function for the user. This is an easy method of getting it. So after I call the function, I can now call it here. So if I should do this is whatever the user puts for me. So if I do this, you'll see that I would have that exact similar output that I need, like some maybe the price, say book this and this 100 as I called it. So I know that this might look confusing at the first time of you trying it. It might look so overwhelming and you may not probably understand it as possible. But because of that, I would refer you guys to going to W3 schools and checking for JavaScript objects. Coming to this part, you'll be able to do almost everything this which we have spoken about before, and you would also into it. As you can see, I told you objects are stored in curly yeah. While so I know it might look very confusing, and I know the last part I'm supposed to talk about is the array. Is the array. Is the array. And what I just want to talk about is that array is just with the box. Then I or green name. Doing this is just this is how what's it called is object is. This is very very important for you. This was it called object and array. They are very very important for you. And there are also properties of an array that you also need to go and look out for in which is actually all what properties you can use in an array. For the last 10 minutes. Oh, sorry about. So you could come to get arrays and you see some method. I think this in have it MDN docs. See methods in JavaScript. See different things you can use with an array and also get more insight of an array. Very beginning. I'm sure by now, as a and because the advance of JavaScript is now you're using the bigger parts of JavaScript, and all the one that we've spoken about is the basis of JavaScript. So, and you should also know that one thing is to learn. Best way you can be a better developer is by practicing. If you don't practice, you are not a good developer. You cannot be good. So I would implore you to just practice as much as possible and you will get there. And if consistent, you will see the results. So good and fine. Thank you very much, guys, for joining this class. I know it has not been easy, and I hope it will be easy at the long run. But I can tell you something that consistency. The more you learn, the more you also long to learn more, to also look research for more. You cannot be a rag developer and be comfortable. You to the point where you want to learn Mobex, where you would want to say, okay, how can I go that to make you a senior developer? So now we are in the basic part. I know when you see a long is long or more. I'm just in HTML, CSS. I've not even gone anywhere. I can tell you that if you are consistent, I can tell you that before the end of this year, uh, you would be very solid with your JavaScript. To even January, I'm moving on to React, and that should be the goal. I always love it when I have students who come back to me after a while and show me that, oh, I was able to build this. I try a way to take out my time to see if I can look at it with you. on it. So the goal is just keep practicing, never relent, keep practicing. So thank you very much, guys, and bye. I would surely see you again very and in a very good way. Thank you very much, guys. The slide is always available, so you can just click on it and